TMZ Live, Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So, you know, there is a big brouhaha over this case against Jay-Z, this rape case that was dropped after this woman had essentially recanted and said, I'm going to dismiss this with prejudice.
Right. Now, you use the word recant, and I understand why you use the word recant. Her attorney, or I guess you would say formerly her attorney, Tony Buzbee, says she is not recanting her story and that she firmly stands on what she alleged in the lawsuit, even though she's dismissed it.
But one of the allegations that Tony Buzbee made was that two private investigators went out and allegedly harassed this woman after after she dropped the lawsuit.
Well, it turns out there were two private investigators who went to visit her, and at least one of them has made a declaration in Jay-Z's lawsuit against Tony Buzbee.
For extortion.
Extortion, right. And this private investigator goes into detail about this meeting that the private investigator had with the Jane Doe accuser. Went to her home and talked to her about Jay-Z's involvement. Now, according to these documents filed by the private investigator, the Jane Doe accuser said no less than 4 times, Jay-Z did not assault me. And in fact, she, according to the investigator, the accuser, put it on Tony Buzbee, saying that Tony Buzbee is the one who brought up Jay-Z at all. The Jane Doe accuser says, I absolutely claimed alleged that Diddy assaulted me back in the year 2000 after the VMA Awards.
Right.
And that she said there was also a female celebrity there who watched this happen. She says she never brought up Jay-Z, and in these documents, according to the PI, it was Tony Buzbee who brought up Jay-Z.
Well, and also, now we know that this conversation was recorded.
Right.
And so, presumably, if this declaration is correct, that the woman said 4 times, Jay-Z never assaulted me, presumably that would be on the recording.
They would have that on the recording. And, you know, they do not include that recording in this lawsuit. Well,
but by the way,
there's a reason for that.
We should just explain. To cut through it all, what Jay-Z's lawyers are saying is that Tony Buzbee manufactured this claim to get money. That's their allegation.
Right.
That they manufactured a claim that wasn't true and then went to Jay-Z and his lawyer and said, pay up or else. And that's what they say the extortion is.
Right. And that's the heart of Jay-Z's case against Tony Buzbee. His lawsuit is saying that this guy sent me a letter demanding money when he knew full well that I had not done the things that he put in this lawsuit because the accuser herself never mentioned Jay-Z. So that's why this declaration was made by the private investigator.
You know what's really interesting to me about this is that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the private investigator said she does not work for Jay-Z or the lawyers.
Correct.
So who does she work for?
She never says in the declaration, but it is really odd. She said that she was not hired by them. So why did she go to this woman's house?
I can't figure it out myself.
It's very puzzling. Tony Buzbee has an interesting response to this. He said each assertion is flat out false and made up, the assertions by Jay-Z and by this private investigator. He adds, Jane Doe called referring counsel, the Ava Law Group, and alleged she was assaulted by P. Diddy and Jay-Z before her case was ever referred to our firm. Those investigators likely didn't know that the paper trail will demonstrably prove what they say to be false.
Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like he's sort of passing the buck to the initial firm that she reached out to and maybe filled out an intake form, and he's going to lean on what's in that intake form to say, I just took it as it came, and it already included Jay-Z. What this PI says is that Jay-Z was brought into it by Buzbee, that Jay-Z may have been at this party. She does remember spotting Jay-Z potentially at the party she alleges it occurred at, but that in 4 separate times said Jay-Z did not assault her and that Buzbee was the one who sort of wanted to bring Jay-Z into it in that level. She also says that when she decided to dismiss the lawsuit, it was because Buzbee came to her and said Jay-Z might try to kill her and come after her. And she was scared enough that she dismissed the lawsuit.
Can I tell you something that is really seems evident to me after reading this declaration, after watching the NBC News interview with the accuser where she was in silhouette. I think this woman is dealing with some sort of mental illness.
Well, and that gets to, I think, a fundamental problem that Jay-Z has with the extortion lawsuit. And Derek, hear me out on this, but it seems to me that on the one hand, what Jay-Z is saying is this woman made claims that have absolutely no basis in reality, that she is essentially mentally ill, and you can't believe necessarily what she's saying. But then on the other hand, if they're suing for extortion, even if she said those things, I never claimed Jay-Z did it, Tony Busby was the one who put me up to it, why are you believing that part of what she says?
Right.
So
You're 100% right. This is what's called an unreliable narrator. If she's been on both sides of this issue, and he has, by the way, there's another investigator who's detailed some of the mental health issues that she had, and Jay-Z submitted a declaration from another investigator who said within 90 days of filing this complaint at all, she was in a mental health treatment facility. So you're right. What version of events do we believe? The one where she says Jay-Z didn't assault her, or the one where she says he did? You're right. It's all over the map, and it does hurt his case.
Hi, my name's Alondra. I'm from Austin, Texas, and something about this doesn't make sense. All I know is that over and over we see how fame, power, and money can just put the truth under the carpet, and I'm just hoping and praying for the truth for once here in Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, I will say this about the legal system. Everybody says it's a search for the truth. No, it isn't. It's a search to win, and that's the way it works.
Search for your truth.
It's the search for the version you want out there to convince a jury of, and that's the way the legal system works. So this whole thing about search for the truth, that's not our judicial system.
Well, how cynical you are, Harvey.
Am I wrong?
It is.
I didn't say you were wrong. I just said you were cynical.
It's not even supposed to be. It's the fortune cookie version of it. It is. It's not what it's supposed to be. Lawyers are advocates. Right, Derek?
I believe in the adversarial justice system. I'm not as cynical as you, but you do have a point, sir.
Okay.
All right.
We are going to move on.
Yes, to Khloe Kardashian and something that her daughter, True, thinks is happening in her own house. True thinks that Khloe and Tristan are still married.
Are married, period. They were never married.
That's right. They were never married. She thinks they're married. And how does Khloe deal with that? Well, this is what she said on the Kardashians.
True thinks me and Tristan are married. It's just probably better for her. It's not like she would really understand, and it's okay. It is the right thing to do, in my opinion. Absolutely. Get married, have kids. That's what I want to teach her.
True thinks that me and Tristan are married. The only thing that bothers me about that would be I don't want True going through life thinking this is what a marriage is. That, oh, you're married to someone and they don't live with you and you never have to kiss them, or you don't sleep in the same bed together. Like, I would love my kids to see me have a husband one day, and I would love them to see like love and affection and romance. Like, I do want them to have that. And when she's older, I can explain it to her. But right now, I believe you do things for your kids because kids should not be involved in adult problems.
Here's the problem that I got with this thing.
She's going to make it more difficult when she has to explain.
But that's not even the problem I got. The problem I've got is True's world involves women who are not married to the guys they're with. Kylie never got married to Travis.
Kourtney never got married to Scott Disick.
That's right.
Kim is divorced from Kanye. That was her third marriage.
And you know, Kris Jenner is with Corey Gamble. Right. And so everybody around her, they're with guys, but they're not married. So it's her normal.
Except for Travis and Kourtney are now married. They're now married. Right.
But like Charlie said, Scott Disick and Kourtney, who had three kids, were never married. So her normal is that.
It's definitely very confusing, especially because, you know, what if True goes to her father's house for the weekend and daddy has some women over?
Oh, I think they must have rules about that.
Showing PDA or something with them. And then True's now confused because she thinks mommy and daddy are married. So why would daddy go and be with other women? So, I mean, there's a lot of layers of confusion.
I would think that Khloe and Tristan have an agreement about that you're not going to have a significant other or
the way it works,
or insignificant.
You know the way it works
in front of
with divorces. I mean, it's kind of the equivalent, but the way it works is a lot of times in divorce settlements they'll say that you cannot put your
kid
kids
in front of us.
around the other person's boyfriend or girlfriend unless they're together for a minimum 6 months.
But
It's
they
not
didn't
a
have a
law, but they
divorce.
usually, no, I know, but
Right.
it's the convention is what I'm talking about. That they often say 6 months is the
Before you can
benchmark.
bring the kid around.
That's
someone.
right.
I'm Simone from Atlanta. And listen, Khloe's always said she's not perfect, but she's the best version of herself. And if she and Tristan are in agreement, then who are we to judge? But let me judge her real quick because her and her babies are getting older and these kids today are sharp. So it won't take long before they catch the tea.
I'm going to see if you will bite on this. I will give you a TMZ t-shirt if you never say best version of yourself again. Your call.
Okay,
You
got it.
Seriously? You promise?
Yep, I do.
Deal.
But you can still say living your best life.
Oh.
Is that all right?
I'll give you a hat for that. Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, we're going to be joined by the man of the hour in Washington, D.C., Congressman Al Green. On Tuesday night, he was the one who protested against President Trump, waving his cane at him, was removed from the chamber. So today, they voted to censure him. Democrats, 10 of them voted to censure him. What does Al Green think? He's going to be here to tell us how he's going to deal with his fellow congressmen and the president moving forward. Welcome back to TMZ Live. Fallout from President Trump's speech to Congress the other night. And you know, of course, that it got off to a rocky start because there was at least one Democrat who was not just going to sit there and listen to policies he disagreed with. Congressman Al Green made a very vocal protest, stood up, shouted some things which we couldn't quite make out at the president. And today, there was a vote in Congress to censure him, which I guess not all that shocking considering that the Republicans control the House.
And by the way, it passed.
And it passed. What's maybe shocking is that there were 10 Democrats who voted along with the Republicans for censure. So joining us right now is the man who was the subject of that vote, Congressman Al Green. Welcome to TMZ Live.
Well, thank you for having me.
So before we get into what happened and all the fallout, let's talk about the 10 Democrats, because everything I've heard is that your caucus is very divided on how to deal with Donald Trump. And you took a position that not everybody did. So it was unsurprising you got censured because the Republicans hold the majority. But what did you think about the 10 Democrats who joined?
I have concluded that there are many ways to get to Houston, Texas from Washington, D.C. And I voted present. And I mentioned Houston to D.C. because I think those friends have the same destination in mind as I. And they have chosen another path. I respect what they have done. And I just trust that they will respect what I'm doing. I've said to all of my colleagues, vote your conscience. I voted present. I voted present so as not to put any pressure on anyone to vote in any certain way. Vote your conscience. Stand on your convictions. That's what I've said.
Do you think, Congressman, that they voted, the 10 Democrats who voted for censure did so because they felt it was inappropriate setting to protest, or that they disagreed with your form of protest? I mean, there were several other Democrats who simply chose to walk out during the speech, but yours was clearly the most vocal. Do you think, what is it they were voting against, really?
If I may answer with just a bit of a predicate, my intentionality was to walk out. I gathered my coat, I had my cane, and I was going to make my departure. But as I was doing so, the president had just made his statement about having not a landslide, but having a mandate. And I was caught up in the moment. I didn't go to do what I did. I was caught up in the moment, and I turned and I said to him, you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid. And the speaker gave me an admonishment. I continued, and he gave me another admonition, and I continued, and then I was ordered to be escorted out of the chamber. And I complied, and the people who escorted me out were very kind. I hold no animus toward the speaker. He did what the rules require. So my colleagues, in terms of how they respond, I leave to them. My response was as it was, because as a matter of conscience, I think that we have to take a different position. I was walking out because I didn't want to suffer the incivility of the president.
Congressman Green, one of the things that really struck me when I watched that live is another Green that I remember during a Biden State of the Union, Marjorie Taylor Greene screaming at him. But that didn't happen to her. She wasn't censured. So how do you deal with things like that? And, you know, I suppose both sides could say that everybody whose ox gets gored has a grievance, but it's not always two-sided. So how do you deal with that when you've seen equivalent things happen on the other side with no consequences?
I'm a son of the segregated South. I have celebrated my 25th birthday 3 times, and I'm now in my 4th 25th. The laws that the Constitution accorded me were denied me by my friends and neighbors. I had to step off the sidewalk when people passed. I had to drink from a colored water fountain. I've sat in the back of the bus. I have relatives who committed crimes and were locked up in the bottom of the jail. So I know what invidious discrimination looks like. I know what it feels like. I know what it sounds like. The Klan burned a cross in my yard. And I'm not as moved in the sense of thinking that I must be accorded equal justice. I am moved to the point of saying I will expose things and give people the opportunity to understand what I have suffered. You see, you're experiencing the transparency now of invidious discrimination in the House of Representatives. You're having a chance to see it. And that's a good thing because it helps us to move beyond this point in time.
You know, you talk about the discrimination you've seen, and I know you had already been removed from the chamber at this point, but I'm sure you've seen the part of the president's speech where, I mean, talk about decorum, and you're right, you, as you say, you don't hold any ill will against Speaker Johnson, and he was doing what he had to for decorum. But there came a point during the speech where the president of the United States looked at a senator, a sitting senator, and referred to her as Pocahontas. You talk about discrimination, things you've seen play out there. Your reaction to that? I know you must have seen the clip, even though you were out of the chamber at that point.
I know who the senator is. I have such great respect for her. And this was the president using his incivility against civility. And he does this quite often. He spoke of all of the members who were Democrats as lunatics. President of the United States, joint session of Congress, on national TV, using incivility to take advantage of our civility. Well, I'll move fast forward now and say this. Today, I had to go to the well, and I went. I did not resist. And I was to stand there as this resolution was read. I went, and I started to sing, "We Shall Overcome." I didn't go there planning to sing "We Shall Overcome." I was just inspired by the moment to take a stand. So we started to sing, and others joined in, and that was incivility, by the way. But that incivility was in direct response to the president's incivility as it relates to the pejorative that he used against the senator, as it relates to the way he referred to members of Congress as lunatics, and as it relates to his behavior, his incivility. I responded today with incivility, but it was a righteous incivility.
There is talk that the Freedom Caucus may not be done with this, and that they may try and strip you of committee assignments. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I had a reporter to approach me and call this to my attention. I am here to serve the people of the 9th Congressional District. I believe that I have taken this oath that I have taken, and I pledge to do that. I would hope that they wouldn't. I would not agree with it. But if they do, it'll give me more time to work on my articles of impeachment.
Okay. You're seriously considering introducing articles of impeachment?
I am absolutely going to do it. This level of incivility emanating from the presidency, much of it in policy, is something we cannot tolerate. If President Barack Hussein Obama had behaved in this fashion, he would have been impeached. There is no question in my mind. So I believe that this president cannot escape this one thing that each member of Congress has. 435 of us, we have it. He is a Goliath, but there are 435 Davids in Congress. I'm one of them, and I'm going to bring articles of impeachment.
And the articles would be based on his speech to the joint session?
The articles will be based upon things that have already occurred, not in an indirect sense, but not directly based on that. What he said at to the members and to the senator was unacceptable. Then that's incivility. So I think we have to, at some point, use righteous incivility. We cannot allow him to just continue to step on us like that and not have some reasonable, righteous retort. And today, my singing "We Shall Overcome" was my level of incivility to combat the incivility that he displayed and that he's not going to be sanctioned for.
Okay. We will be watching to see how this plays out. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us.
We so appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, dear brothers. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Wow. Okay. We're going to take a break.
Yeah, did not see that coming.
I did not either. Take a break.
All right. When we come back, Nancy Grace meets Tot Mom once again. What does Nancy Grace think about Casey Anthony stepping into the legal arena? You know Nancy is never going to hold back. You will hear what she has to say when we come back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall. Yeah, right.
It's TMZ.
I am certain there is someone out there who has a positive thing to say about Casey Anthony being a legal advocate.
And we are looking hard.
We are looking. Nancy Grace probably isn't going to be that person. You know, of course, that Nancy Grace covered wall-to-wall Casey Anthony's trial for murder trial.
And about as fierce as any critic.
Absolutely. A fierce critic of Casey, a fierce advocate for Kaylee. So the fact that Casey Anthony has now launched this Substack where she is, as she calls herself, a legal advocate. We've talked about the dangers of whether or not she is actually offering legal advice, but whether or not she should be in this arena, well, here's what Nancy Grace has to say about it.
All the attention about Tot Mom finally getting a job. Now, legal advocate, my rear end. She says she's been in the legal field since 2011 when she was tried for murder. That's her exposure to the justice system. I agree with trial judge Belvin Perry. This is just a money grab. She needs money. So what does she do? Come try to get money out of your pocket. And guess what? Thousands of idiots have already signed up. Every time someone gives Tot Mom 1 penny, they are voting not guilty.
It's so interesting. I get what she's saying. I mean, look, Nancy Grace thinks there was a grave injustice done when Casey Anthony was found not guilty, but she was found not guilty. And the weird thing about this, and you look, one of the draws is just a circus type draw, right? But the other draw is she's almost telegraphing, hey, I got out of a tight spot. Maybe I can give you some advice how you can do that too.
And I mean,
cynical.
I don't know about that, Harvey, but Nancy obviously always entertaining and still very passionate about this whole situation. And I did think it was kind of interesting that she basically is saying, I mean, in the interview, she gets into all the grisly details of what happened to Kaylee, but also just saying that, like, all these people, because she's got about 24,000 on TikTok now, but all these people that are, essentially
she's got 24,000?
24,000 followers. But all these people who are signing up for the Substack, she essentially is like, you're basically, she obviously feels that Casey Anthony did it and feels like if you're giving her money at this point, all these years later, you're basically validating her being not guilty.
It's funny because this is O.J. Simpson again.
But I gotta tell you, it is, and I heard she has like 3,000 subscribers now
on Substack.
I think a lot of them are probably going to go there to troll her. And I'm sure she's like, that's fine. I still get their money.
She makes money.
But that's what they're going to do. You don't think there are people who are going to pay that $10 a month just so they can say all the things they want to say to her?
No, that Charles, and I also think the fact that she said that she's going to be setting up on this Substack like a way to email with her, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to want to communicate with her or, I guess, troll her, but also maybe just to talk to Casey Anthony. I do think there are people that are interested in just speaking with her.
Well, not just
maybe not about legal advice, though.
No, you're right. You're right. And the reality is that celebrity now has drastically changed. It used to be movie stars, and now it's infamous people.
Yeah.
And O.J. Simpson got more attention because of the murders than
his movies.
Than his movies.
Or his football.
Or his football career. And being notorious it has as much currency now as what the traditional celebrity used to be.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hi, y'all. I'm Lila Mitchell out of Roanoke, Virginia, and I know Nancy Grace is not one to hold back, and rightfully so in this situation. The only experience that Casey Anthony has in court is being a tried murderer, and honestly, the real focus today should be on Kaylee Anthony, who would have been turning 20 years old.
Yeah. 20 years old. Wow. Didn't strike me until she said that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, how do you impress President Trump when kind of your life depends on it? Well, there is someone who is doing that dance right now. His name is Pras from the Fugees, and he's staring down many, many decades in prison. Can he convince the president to pardon him? You're going to hear him give it a shot when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live. President Trump has certainly shown a proclivity for pardons, commutations, as all the January 6th folk will tell you. There's someone else who's desperately trying to impress the president and get a pardon, and that is Pras from the Fugees. Now, you may not even remember this because it's
been a long time.
We're coming up on 2 years.
I know, that's crazy.
Since he was found guilty in a corruption and fraud case that involved this Malaysian businessman, Jolo. And
he faces maximum 22 years in prison. Hasn't been sentenced yet.
I'm still not clear on why he hasn't been sentenced.
That's crazy.
But he hasn't been, and that's coming up soon.
So how do you hedge your bets, and what do you do when you know the boom is about to fall?
Look, and if you're a celebrity, as Pras is, you might feel like you have an upper hand in that President Trump himself, before being in politics, is a celebrity, and he does like to mingle with celebrities. So maybe you can convince him.
But there's a layer on top of being a celebrity. It's being a celebrity who knows how to flatter.
Exactly. So that's why this clip we got with Pras here in LA might go a long way.
It's not a secret, we working on, a pardon. So that was just, my chains, we're hopeful that we're gonna prevail, so that's all we can ask for.
Do you have a message for the president? Because, well, he's a busy guy, but he does check out TMZ, I'll tell you that.
Big up to him and everything he got going on. And obviously, I hope, to turn the eye on me, obviously. Want to give a big shout out to my man also, Free Tory Lane. Thank you.
You think he deserves a pardon as well?
Yeah, but the president can't pardon him. This is a state situation.
Don't mention Tory Lane.
Yeah, you were doing well, Pras.
Don't mention other people.
But don't bring up other people. Just talk to the president.
I agree. He should focus on himself because he's been focused on this for like you said, the past 2 years. He's even put it into the song that the DOG is corrupt. When he went at Lauryn Hill, his Fugees bandmate. But no, he's been campaigning every which way, and I think he's really, really hopeful that Trump will throw him a bone.
That is another thing that would appeal to Trump because he said that the DOJ under Biden was corrupt, and that Trump will agree with that. Trump has said the same thing, that they were persecuting me. If Pras plays that card, you got a good chance.
No, it's you hit the notes. Do not. Why bring Tory Lanez up? First of all, you're right. He can't even pardon Tory Lanez because it's a state case. All you're doing is mucking things up.
I think at the end he did appeal to Governor Newsom to do that, but
don't mix it up.
Right.
Cover your own ass before you cover others.
As another rapper said, you only get one shot.
God.
Hey, it's Taylor from St. Louis. And Pras Michelle lobbying for a pardon for Tory Lanez is literally the blind leading the blind. He's starring in his own episode of Celebrity Apprentice, Pardon Edition. And we know our president loves to talk about corruption.
That's funny.
The Pardon
That's
Edition.
really funny.
By the way, can we look on that video? As we were watching him, all I wanted to know is what car is he driving? What car has that electric blue interior? Oh, it's a Lambo.
It's a Lambo.
It's a Lambo.
The other thing, I'm sorry, just one quick thing. In that video, shout out to our camera guy, Jake, because it looks like Jake was standing in the rain.
Jake's out in the rain.
I know.
Exactly.
Thanks, Jake. Hope you don't get sick. We're going to move on.
Yes, moving on to Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner and the endless rumors about them rekindling.
Well, it was because of one little moment.
One little moment. Certainly, people have talked about this in the past. But yes, when they had the paintball outing with their kids, and
he put his arm around her for
reached
just
over
a quick second.
Just for a second. That's enough for everyone to say, yeah, they're getting back together. Now, one half of this is that we know that Jen Garner is with her boyfriend.
I think they're engaged.
I think they are engaged, and very happily so. She has said that repeatedly. I know people who have seen them out at restaurants within the last couple of months who said they look very much in love.
Yeah.
So that's her side of it. But what does Ben think? Because he doesn't say much. Well, we got some information, and this is a two-way street.
It is a two-way street, and Ben, people close to Ben are suggesting that these reports that him and Jen Garner are getting back together are just absolutely ridiculous. They went out for Samuel's birthday, their son, who they co-parent along with their two other kids. So the thought that they would get back together, or that Ben wants to get back together with Jen, is, the way it was put to me, ridiculous.
Well, I have one other point, you just reminded me of this. Seems to be Ben's thing to do things like this. Because if you remember, in the throes of his divorce with J-Lo, they took the kids, J-Lo and Ben, to the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Right.
And they kissed in the restaurant, and they were showing affection. And everybody said, oh my God, their divorce is off. It was never off, but it's what Ben does. I mean, Ben is passionate. I know he loves J-Lo still. They just can't make it work.
Yeah.
But that's on brand.
Yeah,
that's
totally on brand. And let's be honest. Hey, look, he went back to the well with one Jennifer. He's not going to do it with a second Jennifer.
Even better point.
Hey TMZ, it's Noelle from New Jersey. So honestly, when I saw this footage yesterday, I was kind of like, oh my God, the body language. I don't really care what he's saying. I don't think Jennifer wants anything to do with him, but the embrace looks a little intimate. It's the placement for me. But anyway, I get it. They have a great friendship. They've been co-parenting for years. I know they're close, but the placement and the way he kind of awkwardly backed up is questionable for me.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
I know.
Sure.
Is that paint from Restoration Hardware?
I knew it. I knew he was going to ask that.
It looks exactly like the paint. Is it from Restoration?
Yeah.
I told you. You see?
Good eye. Good eye. You're an advocate.
You've passed your interior decorator's exam. Congratulations.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, Governor Gavin Newsom launches his new podcast and sits down with a conservative voice, a leading conservative voice, Charlie Kirk. And turns out Governor Newsom has a problem perhaps in his own house. You're going to see how Charlie Kirk called him out on it when we come back. Nobody appreciates self-deprecating humor more than we do. Although I don't know that that's what Governor Gavin Newsom was going for here.
Oh, I think it was.
It turned out that way. I don't know if you saw this shot coming. California's governor has a new podcast, and for his first episode, he had on, I think this is a good move, he brought on a conservative voice. Obviously, Gavin Newsom.
Conservative firebrand.
Right. Charlie Kirk. So they sat down for the first episode, and turns out that there's someone in the governor's house who is a huge Charlie Kirk fan, which I think is very interesting and we'll get into in a moment. But here's what Gavin Newsom had to say about his son's efforts to meet Charlie Kirk.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed, he's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. He literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point.
Okay.
All right, he got owned there.
No, he didn't.
I don't think he set it up. He didn't want it to go that way.
Cal, can I tell
That's
you
why
something? This is brilliant on Gavin Newsom's part. Number one, I mean, he is running for president next time. We know that. And, you know, I got to say, he's good at podcasting.
Right.
He's very conversational. He's engaging. But the fact that he's not this kind of wonky guy who will only bring on people who agree with him is so smart.
And he found a way to have like a common ground.
A common ground where you can laugh.
But he didn't see the school's shot coming.
It worked.
He didn't see the school's shot coming.
Well, and Gavin Newsom is one of the few Democrats who's able to step into the lion's den. You guys will remember when he debated Ron DeSantis a little bit over a year ago on Fox News. So this is definitely one of his strengths. And I'm with you. I feel like a baseline for any Democrat who's going to be running needs to be, can you sit across from someone like Joe Rogan and get through in a personal way? If the answer is no, you honestly should not be running for president at this point.
Do you think it's odd that Newsom's son is a huge Charlie Kirk fan?
No, I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
because
I don't either.
The kid grew up in politics.
But I think to me, I saw this play out in sports all the time, that you grow up in a household where your parents are, your dad's a Red Sox fan, so you just decide you're going to be a Yankees fan.
Oh,
or vice versa.
I don't know that he's doing. I don't know.
That's what it
I
is.
think you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Okay, that time of the week, folks.
Yes, your favorite time. Tim is here with his rejects.
All right, so skating on ice can be dangerous but fun. Playing basketball is obviously fun. What if you combine the both of them together?
What
you
could
get
go wrong? Only danger.
Ice skating, hockey, basketball.
Actually,
and this is actually pretty
for hockey
impressive.
players, yeah, this is.
So,
but you have to be a hockey player to do this.
They're shooting the ball. They're skating.
This isn't a figure skater thing. This is
ice hockey. Yeah.
Hey Tim, I do have a question.
Sure.
If I tried that, how many minutes before I end up in the hospital?
Minutes?
Yeah.
You meant seconds, right?
Probably.
Okay, next.
All right, so I don't know if this is the most impressive golf shot or the worst golf shot of all time, because the chances of this happening is so slim. So check out this guy. He's getting ready to drive it off the tee, and watch the ball. He hits it up in the air, and it lands in his hood on his back. So check this out again.
I see. The ball just went.
Oh,
He hits it up straight up in the air.
Does he have any idea where it is?
He has no idea where it is, and it lands in his hood.
Okay, last one.
This is really impressive. Snowmobiling is used to, usually you just cruise down the mountain, you kind of have fun. Well, how about jumping a school bus on a snowmobile? This guy here, he's going full speed here, goes off the jump, and it's a long school bus, and he does actually make it easily. So he's probably practiced this once or twice, but pretty impressive.
I would hope so.
Knievel-esque. Okay, thanks, Tim.
Tim.
That was good.
See ya.
That was good.
Thank you.
All right.
We're going to take a break.
Someone else who got a lot of cheers, former President Barack Obama, here in LA, went to a basketball game. Not the Lakers, mind you, but it wasn't really basketball people were talking about when he made this trip to the Intuit Dome. Barack Obama has become kind of a fixture around LA. We see him out at a lot of restaurants, and last night...
Well, his kids are here, too.
And his kids are here, yeah. But last night we saw him courtside, not the Lakers, Clippers. Clippers having to come up.
Steve Ballmer?
Clearly, he was the invited guest of the Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, sitting there courtside at Intuit Dome. But what everyone kind of took notice of is the fact that...
No Michelle.
Former First Lady, not with him. And really hasn't been for a while. I think it was, mid-December?
Yeah.
Last time we saw them out together here.
And we didn't see her at Jimmy Carter's funeral, didn't see her at the inauguration, didn't see her here. He was out to dinner the other night with
his kids 2 nights ago. Now, Michelle was seen out once. She was out with her brother.
Right.
And went to one of their favorite restaurants,
So look, there have been rumors. We have no idea. But everybody's speculating, what does this mean?
For what it's worth,
we don't know.
He was wearing his wedding ring.
Right.
So,
and so was she.
And for also what it's worth, Valentine's Day just passed and they both posted these very heartfelt tributes to each other. Honestly, I don't think that there's any trouble in paradise. What I truly think is happening is Barack Obama got into politics. He became president. Michelle has been so vocal throughout her whole time in the spotlight about not wanting to be in politics. And now I feel like people think because she had to be by Barack's side for everything that he did when he was president, that she still has to do so now, that even though he's not in that position anymore. She probably has her own endeavors, her own interests. Who's to say she wanted to go to this basketball game? Maybe she doesn't want to go to play basketball. Maybe she doesn't want to be the next Jennifer Hudson getting knocked upside the head. But she doesn't have to be with him in every single
stop. She saw the Jennifer Hudson thing and she was like, nope, I'm not getting me.
Jamie from Louisville. I think all this divorce talk is just gossip because Michelle is busy with her Girls Opportunity Alliance. Barack likes to be in the public eye. She's busy being a mom with her daughters. They can build their lives together and separately. It doesn't mean divorce.
It's true.
Indeed.
That is true. Okay, what else you guys want to talk about?
You know, this whole case with Jay-Z is honestly getting more and more complex by the minute. You know, on one hand, you have Jay-Z and his team who have been adamantly denying the allegations from the very beginning. And then on the other side, you have the accuser, who I'm sure is under intense pressure and scrutiny, not only from the legal team, but from the public as well. But, you know, behind the scenes, if there's a lawyer who's being a little shady, has a vendetta maybe, putting pressure where pressure shouldn't be put, that's got to be looked into, you know?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what Jay-Z and his attorneys are saying.
But again, if the case is over and the private investigators go in the pursuit of the extortion claim,
right?
I'm not sure there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Okay. One more.
Hey guys, Savannah out of Indianapolis. I find this Khloe Kardashian story pretty interesting. So I think her intentions are in the right place. I totally get allowing children to be children, not involving them in adult issues. But I think as she gets older, she deserves the right to know and see like an actual example of what a marriage is supposed to be like.
Or a non-marriage.
Or a non-marriage.
Or a non-marriage. Right. Okay, we are going to settle a raging debate here.
We have been going back and forth about something that happens here every day. Something that Harvey does that I feel is incredibly disrespectful.
I do not do what
he says he doesn't do it. Well, now we have video evidence.
We
They found it and back.
We do.
We're going to show it to you.
We have video evidence.
See who wins when we come back. So our day here starts with a promo. We have to shoot a promo for TMZ Live telling you what's coming up that day.
Usually I say something and then he says something.
It's 7 seconds. It is 7 seconds. And lately our editors have been complaining that it gets difficult to cut sometimes because somebody, one of the two of us, isn't really focused and starts to leave before things are over.
Or is focused and we usually...
Or is focused on the wrong thing,
we
maybe.
Put pictures over the back of it. We put pictures over the back of it.
So Harvey was challenging. He said he thought I was being ridiculous and complaining about this. I made a big deal in the newsroom. And so he's like, if it happened, show me one time. Here we go. He says he was merely trying to educate her on orgasms on set. They're going to look at Wendy again to see if she can be a free woman. Diddy should be freed. And some people even avoiding them. The DA is going to be here to answer their questions. She didn't sue her fertility doctor.
What do you want to do? You want to see us just
We'll see you tomorrow.
standing for 3 seconds? Exactly. See you tomorrow.